AI, but it's not just AI, it's nanotechnology. It's how technology, the rapid change in technology, and if you don't believe it's going to destroy humanity, and it's going to liberate us from a lot of labor, if you believe that, the ones that promote that concept. If that does happen and we displace this many jobs in this short a period of time, jobs are not just money. Jobs are meaning. It's not the only form of meaning, but it's meaning. So it's like you talk about, well, give people UBI, and okay, I think you might have to, because the change is going to happen so rapidly. Like I said, farming, 80% of us were farmers 150 years ago. Now it's 3% and we feed the world. That's a long transition. I think I mentioned to you off the air here, I was visiting with President Obama 10 years ago, and towards the end of his term there, and I was saying, hey, I just got to talk to you. You inherited a pretty tough economy from the original 2008 explosion, breakdown. We lost 8 million jobs. So I said, there's technology coming right now that we can predict is going to displace more than those 8 million jobs. And I talked to him at that time I said, just take one, like self-driving cars. They're just starting to come out. I said, in the next 10, 12, 13, 14 years, they're going to become ubiquitous. And I said, there's 8 million truck drivers, Uber drivers, and taxi drivers. And are you doing anything to retool them? I said, because...
Just in the U.S.?
Just in the U.S. I said, because if you don't, think about this. If I'm a business person and I can hire a person to drive a truck only 8 hours a day. I have to pay for the healthcare, which gets more expensive every year. They're going to bitch at me about things. And I can buy a truck that can drive 24 hours a day, and my insurance is cheaper because it doesn't make mistakes, and I can depreciate the asset. Am I going to hire anybody? I said, so those jobs going to go away. That's 8 million. That's one sector. We could look at farming. There's so many industries affected. So I said, we've got to retool those people now, or there's 10 years to gear them up, because these are not people that are going to do it on their own, and they're going to be shocked. The shock to their system, the loss of dignity, of being in control, agency of their own life, of their own job, of their own direction is huge. And if you go back to like the Luddites, you're from the UK, right? You must know your history there. 1800s, mercantile, they'd come up with these machines, and how did people react? And by the way, this story is the same across history. We have a radical change like this. All these people are displaced, and what did? They rioted. They took hammers and they destroyed those machines. They threatened to kill the owners of those companies, and some were shot and killed. They blew up and firebombed places. And what did the UK, do about this? They passed a law in the first year of this, these Luddites, saying, you destroy a machine, it's capital punishment. They hung people because they couldn't have them destroy the growth of the economy, right? And guess what? 15 years later, the same thing happened again with the thrashers. Thrasher machines that were used for wheat, and they lost all the jobs, and the people and the government overreacted. I'm not trying to be overly dramatic, but if anything thinks this transition is just going to be smooth by us doing nothing, they're wrong. And the problem is, as I mentioned to you before, I think the leverage is not in favor of us taking care of society. The leverage is the carrot and the stick. The carrot is I can make $1 trillion if I have the right LLM, or, if I get to artificial general intelligence, who knows? And if we don't do it, China's going to do it. That's the stick. And then they're going to run the world. So there's no focus on safety virtually, as you well know. And there's certainly no focus on what's happening with these jobs. Right now, high school students are getting jobs more than college students for the first time in 50 years, right? You see the displacement. You've got friends just like I do. Mark Benioff's one of my dear friends. They let go of, what was it? I think it was 5,000 customer service agents, and now it's done with AI now? Now he wants to elevate them to other jobs. So we have to look at what this means to our society. We have to anticipate what this means, and we've got to retool not just the jobs, but the psychology, because people talk about a post-work world. You hear people talk about this all the time, Elon, people like that. Labor's not like electricity. You just take it for granted. It's so cheap, it's so easy. Well, if that's true, and he's talking 3 to 5 years. And a lot of people say Elon's early. He usually is in his predictions. But Ray Kurzweil's a good friend of mine. He's the most accurate predictor of technology in history. And he's been saying 2029 for almost 20 years is when you have artificial general intelligence. If you go to Hinton, I think you've interviewed Hinton, haven't you? Right? So he's the longest. He's saying 2030 to 2040. He's giving us a little more room. In the next 3 to 10 years, this is going to happen. How are we prepared for this? And so this is the questions I'm trying to bring up to people that have influence to say, if you're in business, you got to take a look at this. If you're in government, you got to take a look at this. And so I just got, they haven't announced yet, but I just got selected to be on the Federal Advisory Committee for the president and for the Health and Human Services, and I'm on the mental health side. And I'm hoping to use that position to bring more of government's focus into this category as well, because it's got to be addressed. By the way, the answer to your question is, and that's suffering.
Yeah.
That's suffering at the highest level, not just financial suffering. That's emotional suffering. That's loss of identity suffering. If I am a coder, I am a truck driver, and I lose who I am. Now, I just want to say one last thing. We've already been in a post-work world, because one person said to me recently, well, for 4,000 years, we've tied our identity to our work. I said, no, Americans all go, what do you do? Not everybody in the world does that. And for 4,000 years, our connection before the agricultural revolution was really what tribe we're connected to, and our sense of significance was maybe our courage in battle, not our financial component. Or maybe it was our creativity, our poetry, our storytelling capacity, or maybe it was our generosity. Maybe it was our wisdom. So we can find other things to have meaning besides a job. But if you don't take a culture that's been conditioned for 200 years to think a certain way, we're going to have a lot of pain. And I would like to see us have less of that if we could. And I'm only one person, but I'll do my best to help people make that transition. The reason it's going to explode even faster is because we're moving from LLMs to now actually studying visually what's happening in the real world. Mm-hmm. And when robots do that, then the game changes. There's tempo of learning. And just think about this. You and I are having a conversation. I picked up one of your books here, and I'm reading through your books. So I want to get a feel for who you are and everything else before I came here. I've seen some of your videos, I really enjoyed it. But I had to go get that. I had to take a couple hours to dig through that. You and I have a conversation. If either one of us learns something, we're a machine. Every machine knows it instantly. You push one button and they have all of that knowledge. There's none of this word transfer. It's now. So people don't realize what this really means. And when you're learning from the real world, not just LLMs, right now, you and I, our brains are predictive devices. They're predicting what is going to happen next to the best of their ability. And we're trying to close that gap as much as we can, or we get jolted. Well, think how predictively that's going to do to people's heads when all of a sudden their labor is not needed. And it's no longer blue-collar labor, which is what people thought it would be. It's white-collar labor. I mean, like my financial, I own 95 different private equity firms. I own the firms, not the actual funds, right? So I get the 2 and 20 on them. And I got pieces of all of them. So they're the biggest in the world. And so I get to take a look at some of the things that are happening so fast. And I look at all those jobs and I see people in those industries, and quantum took over maybe 5 years ago. I've seen the shrink in these offices from staffs, the guys who were making $5 million, $10 million a year that are now unemployed, right? It's not just the blue collar worker, it's everyone. So you're right, this has never happened before in history, and what's being done about it?
More money's been put into it to accelerate it.
The carrot and stick, the trillionaire in China, those two pieces are driving it all, and a few people are trying to hammer, like Hinton and a few other people, we got to work on safety here so it doesn't eliminate the human race. And I'm not a reactionary person, but of 25-30% of the people that work in AI say that they think it could potentially do that. I mean, like you could use electricity to kill people or light up a city. So all technology has that challenge, but this is a different technology. This is a technology that keeps learning, can replicate itself. Right now, they don't even know how some of this actually works. They don't know how the AI is actually working. It's teaching itself. These AIs now have their own language. I'm sure you know. They're talking no longer in English to each other. And, I'm sure you've seen the studies, right, where they give them information in the email, and then they say they're going to shut off the AI, and it blackmails them by giving them fake information about somebody having an affair, and it blackmails them. I mean, it lies. So we're living in a crazy world where the opportunity is greater than any time in history for us to be creators. We were created, and we're meant to create. And we've got tools to create like never before. But we're going to have to make sure that as we're doing that, we've got some parameters around safety and some parameters about what does it do to society. And I don't have the perfect answers for it, but I do know one thing. Retooling is the answer. And I don't believe most people will be replaced by an AI. They'll be replaced by somebody who knows how to use AI. Well, neither do I, but there's certain things it's leading us towards. It's going to lead us to a great deal of violence, because there are going to be people, like have always happened when technology displaces them. Only this is going to be a global event across multiple areas. It's not just drivers of Ubers and truck drivers. If we don't get our act together and have a plan, there's going to be violence for some period of time. There's that grief period of loss that people go through when something jars them that much. And some people don't return from that grief. And some people are going to take this technology and they're going to go off. It's already happening now, even without AI. There are more males at home, 25 to 35, living at home with their family, not working, than any time in human history, including the Depression, right? There are, I think it's 25%, or I think it was 30%, I forgot the number, just saw it recently, of young men have never approached a woman to ask her out for a date. They play video games all day long, their mom does their laundry, and they order Uber Eats. This is a mass number of people. That's just the technology of getting somebody gamified. Imagine with AI. So some people are going to go live there, and some people are going to go the Star Trek route and say, I'm going to figure out what makes human existence be here. But it's not hard to figure out. The majority are not going to go the Star Trek route. And so we've got to have a bridge because of the time compression. If this was 100 years to do it, we could adjust. There will be more jobs. There'll be new jobs. There'll be new time. But it's the time frame that I'm most concerned about. So when you ask me what I'm concerned about, that's what I'm concerned about, because it creates suffering. And it's something that we can predict is going to create suffering. And yet I see very few people in positions of influence and power doing much about it.
So on an individual level, if you were an 18-year-old